Well, the sound is even better. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, which is how to scale delivery with WhatsApp, SMS, and interactive voice responses. My name is Lisa Schmidt. I'm the head of partnerships at Charity Digital, and I will today be joined by the fantastic team at twilio.org that will share tips and show how your organization can deliver services with agility. For those of us joining us for the first time, a very warm welcome to you. We hope that you find today's webinar insightful, and we are looking forward to receiving all your questions. And for those of you who attended before, it's good to have you back, and hopefully today will be very, very beneficial, and that's something you can also share with the rest of your colleagues. So our session today will cover everything you need to know about basically ensuring the right message reaches the right beneficiary at the right time in the service delivery. Amongst other things, we will cover ways your organization can virtually grow your team by implementing some bots that can provide some personalized support to some of your service users. We'll also see how you can engage them in many different ways and what this looks like in practice. So I really do hope this is going to be acting as maybe as a good refresher for some of you, or some inspiration. But before we start, a few house rules. This session is going to be recorded, meaning that the recording and the slides and additional resources are going to be made available to you in about a couple of days, maximum a week. So yeah, don't worry if you've missed anything at the beginning of the presentation. So we love it when everything is interactive and when we can hear from our audience. So please feel free to add any comments, any tips, you share your experience, where you're joining from in the chat section. And if you can add all your questions at any time during the presentation and later on during the Q&A, please do so using the Q&A section, which is the two speech bubble overlapping one another, so that we can keep them separate, and that will be very easy for us to go through all the questions for today. If you encounter any sound or image issue, please do let us know in the chat section, and we'll do our very best to get back to normal as soon as we can. And now, without further ado, let me hand over to Tobias Gunkel, the lead marketing manager at twilio.org, and Gunjan Gupta, the solution architect for social impact at twilio.org.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and the Charity Digital team for hosting us today, and a warm welcome to everyone out there watching today, most likely on your lunch break. You all want to learn a bit more about digital communications and get some advice on how to scale your service delivery using channels such as WhatsApp, text messages, and interactive voice response. My name is Tobias. As Lisa was just mentioning, I'm the marketing manager here at twilio.org, and I do work a lot with not-for-profit organizations and charities out there across Europe, really, to support their missions, to support your missions, and communicate effectively with the people that you serve, essentially. And that brings me to the reason why we are doing this webinar today, because we understand that the cost of living crisis across the UK and Europe really has created some unique challenges for organizations like yours. And that's impacting leadership, it's impacting staff, volunteers, and ultimately also the people that you serve in really unprecedented ways. So today we're going to show you some tools. We're going to share with you some first steps that many other leading charities and organizations across the world have used before to build digital communication solutions. And as the title of the webinar suggests, how to, this is going to be very practical in nature. So there is some technological, terminology thrown around, but it is not as daunting as it sounds. I always find this very daunting, but it's actually quite easy and straightforward to follow. So in a few minutes, I'll be handing over to my colleague, Gunjan, who will show you how to get started building your own digital communication solution in a low-code, almost no-code environment. And there will be actually interactive elements as part of this webinar. So you can actually see what your constituents would receive from you and how they would benefit from these solutions that we're building together. And with that, good morning, Gunjan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gunjan Gupta. I am a social impact solutions architect at Twilio.org. I work with organizations like yours to scale their impact using Twilio. In the past years, I have worked with Oxfam on automating donation collections on phone, so it frees staff's time. Norwegian Refugee Council on scaling program delivery in 27 countries for displaced people using WhatsApp and SMS bots. International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent on meeting increased demand for cash assistance in the Ukraine region, and Action for Children on providing assistance to parents and teenagers by incorporating call centers. These operations might look massive, but these teams are fairly small, and they are able to do a lot by adding digital tools to their programming. Today, I look forward to sharing some of these how-tos so you can also incorporate these tools in your work.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gunjan. And with introductions out of the way, we'll now have a quick look at the interconnected challenges that charities are facing. Then we're going to look at some examples of how leading charities have used digital communications before. And then Gunjan will finally show us how to actually build this in a very easy to use platform. So let's talk about the challenges. There are many challenges that UK charities are facing at the moment. According to recent research by Pro Bono Economics and the Nottingham Business School, 79% of charities had a tangible increase in demand towards the back end of last year, with 43% even saying that increased by a lot. At the same time, 54% of charities have vacancies to fill, and 83% of them report that it's quite difficult to fill key roles. So there's also an element of not actually finding enough staff to deal with the higher demand that the sector is facing overall. And that also has a massive effect on existing staff, because 70% have reported feeling that their workload has increased exponentially, and that 24% of charities reported that staff burnout is not that uncommon anymore. So energy, cost of living crisis has also a massive effect on the bottom line. There's fewer donations coming in. And at the same time, the expenditure on running your operations has significantly increased. 76% of charities report lower income. 51% say that they already use their cash reserves just to get by, just to run the services that you always use. So you can see that, all of these are pretty much interconnected. You kind of want to do more, you need to do more, but you can't really do more because the resources are so much lower. So automation, digital communications, we think does help. And so we're going to talk about that. I mean, the question really is, how are you and other UK charities supposed to maintain or even scale your service delivery when faced with such high demand, lower staff retention, recruiting issues, and lower income? Well, 89%, according to our own research, we have asked thousands of nonprofits worldwide, 89% of those say that digital communications are critical in achieving their mission when faced with these or similar issues. And they give three main reasons for that usually. First of all, there's reach. That means that nonprofits often have limited human and financial resources, but more people in the community who need support than the nonprofit has the capacity to serve. So using automated text, WhatsApp bots, or voice chat to provide donors, volunteers, and program participants with the info they need and serve frees up other resources. That means your staff has more time to have one-to-one interaction and connection with people where it really matters. Accessibility is another one, because people might not have access, or might have access to a phone, but not always have a smartphone available, or not even have Wi-Fi around, for instance. They might not be able to access the internet at all given times. So supporting multiple channels such as text messages, WhatsApp, and phone calls, a good old phone call, is quite important to bridge that digital divide. And then there's also flexibility, because I know that all of you out there appreciate the opportunity to test and learn what channels and engagement tactics get you closer to the people that you need to reach and to reaching your organization's overall goal to serve more people, etc. So why are we talking about this? We are Twilio/Twilio.org, and we should probably introduce ourselves a bit first. So Twilio is a customer, or in most cases in the nonprofit world, constituent engagement platform. We enable businesses and organizations to connect with anyone via their preferred channels, anywhere in the world, really. We give you the tools and infrastructure to create your own bespoke solutions to communicate with text messages, voice, WhatsApp, etc., and even more channels, email, video, there's so much more to discover really. But for today, we keep it with text messages, voice, and WhatsApp. Gunjan will show you in a second what that exactly looks like. Obviously, we have a massive infrastructure build. We send 130 billion messages each year. 25 billion calls are made through Twilio infrastructure each year on a global scale. And specifically in the not-for-profit sector, Twilio.org is the social impact arm of Twilio. We help charities and not-for-profit organizations to expand their reach and scale their missions. That's our daily bread and butter, if you will. And we already helped more than 15,000 social impact organizations do that. In the UK, we work with Debt-Free Advice, Action for Children, and Age UK. Age UK, for instance, has used us previously to advance their mission of fighting chronic loneliness among older people by connecting them to volunteers over the phone. They wanted a new technology infrastructure to vet volunteers quicker, and then also make 1,000 additional calls a week without increasing the existing staff's workload. So they created an automated voice and text solution that increased the call volume 3.5 times. And at the same time, we're able to vet 2,500 volunteers in just a matter of weeks. So much for that. And then we got, the reason. Before I hand over to Gunjan, let's quickly reiterate the benefits of digital communications again with text messages, WhatsApp, and interconnected interactive voice response and their automation. So we're creating a bot in essence. So whether the people you need to engage with have a smartphone, feature phone, or old school mobile phone, you'll be able to reach them quite easily. And if your organization operates in a non-domestic setting, so outside of the UK, outside of Europe, you can rely on worldwide accessibility via SMS and WhatsApp because they are supported pretty much everywhere. And you can also easily build templates that you can build once, tweak, and then deploy whenever you need it for more automated outreach. So that saves your staff a lot of time, again, to have those meaningful one-to-one connections and conversations when they matter most. And now I'm almost ready to hand over to Gunjan to show us the back end of the platform and actually build a solution. And you can also have a look what that looks like to your constituents. And we will be using an example, a fictional example. This one is of Yusuf, who's a program manager at the fictional Stephen Street Food Bank. I hope there isn't such a thing because I made that up, but it's fictional. Stephen Street Food Bank in Birmingham, UK. Like most other food banks right now in the UK and charities in general, Yusuf's organization is struggling with increased demand, fewer staff, and much lower income through donations. And Gunjan will show us how to remedy that.
Thank you, Tobias. Although we are using the example of a food bank, the tools I'll show you are transferable to any type of organization. Whether you offer civic advice like Debt-Free Advice or environmental protection like Greenpeace. First, Yusuf will create a simple FAQ bot that answers a question he and his team get a lot on SMS. For this, first, he'll set up a Twilio account. There's no credit card required. And as a nonprofit, you get enough initial credits to do a lot of testing. Once he has set up this account, he will log into the Twilio account, and this is what he'll see. He'll see the Twilio console. On the left, you see all of the products like phone numbers, messaging, and messaging includes both SMS and WhatsApp and voice. Here, he'll see the account information. The account SID and the auth token. These are the two key information that identify your account. To create a bot, today we'll use Twilio's drag and drop bot builder called Twilio Studio. So we'll go ahead here and create this bot. We'll call it Food Bank FAQ. So if you see, there are many templates already available to you. You can create customer support menus, text surveys, but we're going to start from scratch. And this is what Twilio Studio looks like. There are the triggers which start this flow. And then on the right-hand side, you see all of the widgets that are available to you. So these are all drag and drop. The three I want to highlight is sending a message. So this is how you send a message, and you can send it, the message will go out on whichever channel the incoming message comes on, so SMS or WhatsApp. So this is the answer, and I will save it. A couple other widgets that are worth pointing out are send and wait for reply. So if this were a menu, then we would wait for the person's reply and then act on the reply. And the way you act on the reply is almost like an if-then condition. If the option is 1, then do this. And for that, we use something called split. And you'll see more of this as we progress in the session today. So we have an answer, and this answer is going to be sent whenever someone sends a message. It doesn't matter what message is sent, and we will publish this flow. So that's it. The flow is created, but it is not connected to any number yet. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it to a number. And for that, Twilio provides the connectivity. So I'm going to go to the manage phone numbers. You don't need a SIM card. You can just buy a phone number here online. Twilio provides various types of numbers in over 100 countries. We provide alpha senders. These are letters and numbers. They enforce brand trust. So you could have an alpha sender like Food Bank or Stephen Street. We also provide reverse billing short codes and toll-free numbers in many countries for voice and messaging, so participants can call or message free of charge. Today, I'll buy something in UK. So I go here and I can search by the country code. So it's +44 and UK. And I want to look for numbers that are SMS enabled. So here is a number. Let me get this one. I saw there was somebody from Nottingham, so let's get this one. And this number has voice, it has SMS, and looks good to me. I'll buy it. Oh, sorry. This one, sorry, does not have. We want to look for a mobile number. So let's buy a mobile number, because otherwise we will have to provide some other information. So let's buy this one. And it has voice, fax, SMS. So let's go ahead and configure. I'm going to copy this number so you all also have access to it and configure. So what configure means is, if any message comes on this, we are telling that it should go to the flow that we just created. And I'm going to save this configuration. And that's it. So you have this number 7360. I'm going to paste it in the chat. And we'll test it right now, 736-027. So here, let's go. I'm going to try. I will send a message. Hello. And that's it. So you can get a response. You can go ahead and try it, and you should be able to get the message as well. So with these simple building blocks, Yusuf can provide service to participants at any time of day and night. Yusuf can easily automate a lot of repeat questions that were taking his team's time and causing burnout. Next up, I want to introduce WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is also a Twilio offering. This is where WhatsApp, there are many advantages to using WhatsApp. If your NGO has a presence in multiple countries, in many countries, people have access to a phone plan that only allows access to voice, text, and WhatsApp. The WhatsApp account stays the same even when the phone number changes. Useful if people cross borders and data roaming is not available. WhatsApp enforces brand trust, user identity, and promotes trust. Additionally, you can have rich content like documents, voice notes, buttons, call to action, rich messaging formatting. And these here, if you want to use buttons, you would use something like a WhatsApp template. And then you can add buttons in Twilio's editor. So for example, these could be the options: get help, donate, or volunteer. For WhatsApp with Twilio, you can bring your own number or buy a Twilio number and get it approved as a WhatsApp sender. Here I have a number approved as a WhatsApp sender. I've created a studio flow that extends the earlier simpler flow, and now it gives answers to participants, but also to volunteers and donors. But we want to share this information to the public. So for that, we can create a QR code. I created this using a free website. There are many websites available where you can create the QR code. Twilio can also generate it for you. Yusuf can place this in council houses or parks, traffic signals to advertise the service and increase awareness. So what I'm going to do is, let's say somebody goes and they access this. So it directly starts a chat with the food bank. And this is what I meant initially, that the brand trust, right? So you know that it's Stephen Street Food Bank, and I will start our chat. Right away, you notice a few things. First is there are emojis, there is formatting, special formatting. In Birmingham, there are people speaking Punjabi, there are people speaking Polish, so we are giving those options. And we can also have voice notes. So in some areas, voice notes is very helpful. For example, if people have difficulty reading. So in that case now, let's say English. Again, you see the links are embedded, so the preview is available, and we can now help the different constituents. So I say get help. We ask them, do you have a voucher? I say yes. How can we help? Find a food bank. And this is another feature I'll show you, is the location sharing. So I'll share the location, and maybe I am in Birmingham here. And we're able to get the location and give the food banks associated. This feature is very useful for displaced people or people who, in various conditions, they don't know where they are. So the location can be shared. Next is if somebody wants to volunteer. And if they are, let's say, below 18 years of age, then we can share this document for the parental waiver right here, instead of having to email it. So this can also be used in legal advice where you need to share some specific forms, many uses of sharing different content. And finally, if somebody wants to donate, which we always welcome, we ask what amount they want to donate. And here we give them the option of donating on phone or donating online. So these are called call to action buttons, and this will directly initiate a call. I won't call right now, or you can do donate online. I did this using the studio flow. So it's the same simple building blocks that I showed earlier. It just takes some thought in weaving the story together. This is a food bank, but these three groups, participants, volunteers, and donors, are common in any nonprofit. Whether you're a citizens advice, environmental, or healthcare organization. For example, NRC actually uses WhatsApp with voice notes to provide legal advice in Arabic and English in Lebanon. So these were some simple no-code flows. If you have other systems that your team develops, Twilio provides the ability to embed sending messages in your journey. Using this simple, this could be like notifications on immunization, food pickup, delivery, cash assistance programs. These few lines of codes can be embedded in your software. To do this, you would do the same thing. You'll create an account, get the Twilio credentials, and call this code from your system of record. This could be Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce, or a homegrown or off-the-shelf system. Today, I'll show you how to send the messages from our CRM of Google Sheets. So here, what I have done is the same few lines of code I have embedded within the Google Sheets script. This was the accounts that we saw, and this is the number I want to use to send the message. I will send the message. A few things to note here, that we are assuming that you have informed consent or opt-in from the people you're sending messages to, which is very important. And also you give them an ability to opt out. So now that Yusuf has time and he has some tools, he can increase the donation by using outbound campaigns on SMS and WhatsApp. Twilio also provides features like link shortening, tagging, and scheduling to assist in this. These messages are now sent to Twilio, and we want to check what's happening with these messages. For this, we'll use something called Messaging Insights. It's under the Monitor tab, and I will go here and click on Messages. Twilio's Messaging Insight is a real-time dashboard with multiple reports ranging from delivery and errors, OTP conversions. It gives you full transparency into which messages are getting delivered. This is very useful if you're getting the list of numbers from somewhere. Also useful if people make data entry errors. It is free with Twilio. There is no additional reporting package. So let's see what's happening with our messages. Looks like some messages are not going through, and we want to see why that is. So a Twilio product that can help with this is called Lookup. You can use it to get more details, to clean up your phone list, prevent fraud, and you can also use it to pick the right channel, whether it's SMS or voice. I'll show you how to call the Lookup API. So these, similar to, we have embedded the script here, and similar to earlier, we are seeing what's happening. Like, these were the phones we were curious about. So I'm going to go look up all, and it runs the script, the few lines of code. And we find out that this number is actually a landline, and we were trying to send SMS to it. This number is actually just missing something, a digit. So this is one way to clean the data. And then it also provides other features like identity match, SIM swap information, and you can, if you're getting the data from other sources, if you are implementing more sophisticated registration or onboarding flows, I would highly recommend looking at Twilio Verify. Verify is a product which orchestrates generating, delivering, and validating the one-time passwords or OTPs. We just saw that people are still using landlines. That leads us to voice. Voice is the Goldilocks channel. Messaging is too impersonal and video is too much. 67% of the customers prefer to call when topics are of critical importance or are urgent. Twilio does PCI audits and certifications, so you don't need to worry about PCI compliance on collecting credit cards. Let me show you how you can take donations on the phone using a voice bot, also called an IVR. So here is a studio flow that I created. And this, I'll take some time to explain this entire flow. This just illustrates like how you can really use your imagination and create very interesting flows based on your knowledge of your program and Twilio technology. So after realizing that people are still using landline, Yusuf goes here and he creates this voice flow. The first widget he uses is called gather. When someone calls, this time, when someone calls, they first hear a message. And this is by either say or play. So either this uses text to speech, or you can have a pre-recorded message playing. We can select the language. So you can have many languages here. I picked British English, and also you can pick various voices. And the speech recognition is done by using the key presses. The input is done by the key press or by speech recognition. And then we say thanks for donating. And here is also I want to share about the transitions. This is again, if something happens, then do something. So we collect the donation amount using the key press. And this next widget you're seeing is called a payment. It's PCI compliant. So it's our pay connector. It collects, I have connected it to the Stripe gateway, but you can connect it to other gateways as well. And it collects the information in a PCI compliant way. So the person who's donating can rest assured that their credit card is not being written on a piece of paper or it is being complete, whether if it's getting secure collection or not. We thank the donor for the donation. And also notice here that the amount is being captured dynamically based on what they entered in the donation. After that, because you want to have the confirmation code, we send them the confirmation code on SMS. So this is interesting. We are mixing voice and SMS in a communication flow. Now, donor has their invoice, so later on they can reference it. And here comes the split again. And this is where it gets interesting. Depending on the amount this person has donated, we can take two paths. And this is the split widget where it's based on if something, do something. So the transition here is if they spend less than $250, we send them to gift aid. And for all of you, you're very familiar with gift aid. What it means is you can opt in or opt off. Out of gift aid, it's no cost to the donor, but the charity gets additional donation. For gift aid, we'll record their choice, yes or no, and then save it in the backend. So this HTTP request, it's a way for this information to be sent back to your system. So we can take this choice, send it back to your system, and then your team can follow up on the paperwork. But the same concept can be used in sending the recordings back or capturing survey data. You can take all of this data and send back, integrate with your system, whether it's Salesforce or some other system. But also interesting is if they donate more than $250. If they donate more than $250, we say thank you for your generous donation. Please stay online, and we would love to thank you personally and connect you. And here you can connect them live with one person who is maybe the fundraising person, or if you have multiple people, you can connect to multiple numbers, and the first person who picks up will be connected. So now you're taking this knowledge of the high donor and really building this personal relationship with the major donors. So that's the entire flow. I'm going to give it a go on the voice. So you might see a lot of 4242s, that's a test credit cards. Voice sometimes doesn't come across that well on demos or the how to instructors. So let's see how this goes. I think everyone is muted, but we will. Okay, so I'm going to call this number now.
Thanks for calling Stevens Street Food Bank. Press 1 to donate or say donate. Press 2 to volunteer or say volunteer. Press 3 for sponsorship, and if this is an emergency, press 0 to be connected to a staff. Thanks for choosing to donate. We will collect your payment over the phone in a secure way now. You will use your phone keypad to enter this information. First, using the keypad, enter the amount you wish to donate. Please enter your credit card number. Please enter your expiration date, 2 digits for the month and 3 digits for the year. Please enter your security code. It's the 3 digits located on the back of your card. Thank you for your payment of £522. Press 1 to receive your donation invoice via SMS. Thank you for your generous donation. Please stay on the line, as we would love to thank you personally and also invite you to the Friends of the Food Bank Gala.
So that's how I was connected directly. Let's see if so that's how we were connected directly. And let me check if I got the invoice. I have a lot of other messages right now, so I'm going to hide this. And here is the invoice that we got with the £522. So we saw that using Twilio Studio, programmability, and connectivity, Yusuf is able to build a bot that answers the questions on SMS and WhatsApp. He's able to offload the common tasks of answering repeat questions like parental waiver, food bank locations, vouchers to these bots, and save time for his team. Participants are able to get their questions answered quickly in a language they feel comfortable in and at all hours on a channel they prefer. He uses QR codes to increase the reach. At the same time, he leaves the call option open by using the WhatsApp click to action buttons. Then he creates informational campaigns and donor outreach using Twilio code. He also checks the quality of phone numbers using the Lookup API and monitors deliverability using messaging insights. And finally, he reaches the audience on the voice to automate payments and have an option for emergency reach. He saves resources that he would have to spend on maintaining PCI compliance. Participants trust that the payments are collected securely, they receive invoice, and are able to express their gift aid choice. Yusuf strategically uses his team's scarce resources on building relationships with high-value donors and addressing the most critical needs of the participants. And when I work with the program teams, my main request is that all of you have such deep knowledge of your programs and the program journeys. You really understand your program domain really well. So now take these tools and then you can leverage the Twilio technology. It does take some design thinking. So take all of those knowledge and some human-centered design, see how you can serve your participants best and your teams best, and take these tools and build a lightweight multi-channel engagement center. And you will be able to scale delivery for your program. Tobias will share some additional information to get you started.
Perfect. Thank you so very much, Gunjan. Let me quickly share my screen again. This is the last slide, I promise, and then we can go into a bit of Q&A. I hope we can all see this. So yeah, two things. Obviously, we would love to chat with you. Our non-profit specialists out there can help you identify what's best for your organization, provide tech support, and connect you with solution partners should you need them, so you can take your digital comms to the next level. But if you want to get started right now, basically recreate what Gunjan has just done. And as she said, you know your constituents best, you know the mission that you're trying to accomplish. You can get started with free credit. That should be enough for, I think it's tens of thousands of messages and tens of thousands of minutes. It's kind of based on that pricing model. So if you just head to the Impact Access program, you should be able to see the URL down here at the bottom of the screen. Then you can sign up, and eligible nonprofits get at least $100 to get started, which again is enough for tens of thousands of messages. And our good friends here at Charity Digital are actually the ones taking care of your application. And I guess with that, I can hand over to Lisa, get us started on the Q&A.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Gunjan and Tobias, for that very insightful presentation and a demonstration. So how it can happen in real life. So I hope everybody enjoyed. We've seen quite a lot of questions. So this is great, and this is going to take about obviously the next 10 minutes. So I'll dive straight in. We had an initial question on the sort of cost associated with that, and like you said, Tobias, there are free credits. So let me have a look at my notes. I think Twilio is offering £400 worth of credits for eligible charities that want to get started on Twilio.org. And like you said, Tobias, that's tens of thousands of minutes and messages. So it's already a solid amount of messages and other things that you can provide to your service users for free. And my colleague has put more information in the chat. So yeah, without further ado, the first question is from Emily. Does Twilio integrate with Salesforce? And maybe a question for maybe Gunjan. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, there are a lot of charities that use Salesforce, right? So there is a product called Twilio for Salesforce that actually you can do the messages out. You can use that. But also if you have a development team, they can use the API that I showed, right? That can connect with Salesforce. So you can have activity in the Salesforce. And there's also a Twilio product called Twilio Flex, which can be embedded within the Salesforce, can be embedded within the contact center for Salesforce. Salesforce is actually very, very common CRM that charities use.
Super. Thank you very much, Gunjan. Moving over to the next one, is Twilio secure for storing service user data on?
That's, I think, a GDPR-related question, and I saw there's a few of those in there. And yes, Twilio is definitely committed to GDPR. I will share actually a link here in the chat as well, a dedicated website to Twilio and GDPR, so you can see all the details. Twilio has undertaken a 4-step process to make sure that the data, everything is GDPR compliant in essence, and the data protection by design philosophy is baked into every single thing we do ever since GDPR has become a thing. So again, if you want more details, we're also certified by a lot of different organizations out there. Please have a look at this, because I feel like that would probably take another half an hour to go into too much detail, and I'm not a lawyer, but I think that is probably a good way to start.
Super. Thank you, Tobias. And then actually a similar question with regards to GDPR from Anne. Can calls be routed via the UK from a GDPR perspective? And actually, I don't know.
The question?
Yeah,
the region. So we are working on regional presence, but there are various things we can do with the calls, but Twilio does not have a regional center in UK yet.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hence why the necessity to review some of your GDPR information that you've posted in the chat. But yeah, thank you both.
We do have Ireland and Australia, for instance, though.
Ah, right. Okay. Okay.
So from a European perspective, we're
okay.
covered, just not from a UK specific perspective.
Yes. Gotcha. Thank you for that precision.
Also, I added a link in the chat for Action for Children using Salesforce and Twilio. So people can get inspiration from that, how the Action for Children is using Twilio with Salesforce. So that was actually hosted on the salesforce.org blog. I think there was a question about Twilio with Salesforce.
Yes. A previous question. So therefore, for all of your UK customer, where is the data stored? Is it on a case-by-case basis, or?
It depends on the product that's being used. That's why I need to refer you to this website where you can see based on the product where data is stored, how it's processed, and how it goes. Because essentially Twilio is a toolbox. We have multiple solutions, multiple channels that we serve. Again, you build a bespoke solution out of that. And depending on what you build, that has different implications as to how data is processed, sent, and stored. Okay. And so when you're using the sort of free credits, that's also having access to and understanding where the data is stored is something that's part of that use of free credits. Absolutely. Okay. And if you have any concerns, again, get in touch with our nonprofit experts via twilio.org. There's a talk to an expert button on there. And if there's any very specific or detailed questions, or if you have built a solution yourself and you're not entirely sure if that is 100% GDPR compliant, etc., please do get in touch.
Super. Brilliant. Thank you. Moving on to another question. Do you support any other channels that apart from the ones you showcased? Yeah,
I can take that. So we provide WhatsApp, like I mentioned. We also provide Facebook Messenger and Google Business Messenger, of course, SMS, voice, and email. And so for example, in Ukraine, Viber was the biggest channel. So even though Twilio doesn't provide Viber, we can integrate with Viber. So you would be able to use other channels and integrate with Twilio products for contact center. And that becomes very relevant. So for example, if your NGO has presence in various countries, right? In Africa, USSD is used. And I didn't even know about USSD before I joined Twilio. It's used on feature phones, and we were able to, in Uganda, we were able to integrate with USSD with the contact center. So you can use the channel Twilio provides, or you can integrate with other channels using custom integration.
Super. Thank you, Gunjan. Moving on to the following question from Laura. Where basically just a need to provide us with a top-line summary of the popular and common software Twilio can link to, and what the system can do in very top-line summary.
Let me look at the question. So it's Laura had mentioned, can you provide the top-line summary? Is the question like what all systems we can integrate with?
It could be a good start.
So, and this is as long as your system can talk to APIs. APIs are a way to talk between the system, right? So as long as you can call API, or so you can integrate with Twilio. So for that, and I've seen people integrate with open source software, like Cortez, and open source software like Espo CRM, which IFRC is using, Salesforce, of course, Microsoft Dynamics, ServiceNow integrations, Zendesk. So any system that uses modern technology and can integrate with API will, and that's actually, we pride ourselves in how robust and reliable our APIs are. So if you have a tech team, they would know how to integrate with it. And if you are a team that wants to go above this basic studio, what I showed, right? And if you really want to take it to the next level, but you don't have a tech team, then we will absolutely pair you with partners. So we have software development teams that we partner with, and they provide discounted rates to charities. So we can team you up with one of those, and they would be happy to take on your projects. But yeah, integration is definitely welcome and very much, it's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
One channel I missed last time when I talked was email. So we also provide email. A lot of times what happens is your email might be going to spam because your deliverability, your reputation, you don't know what your deliverability is, or you cannot track your open rates or click rates or how your campaigns are performing. We didn't get a chance to get into email today, but Twilio has a product called SendGrid, and it provides the email API. So you can integrate email in your customer journeys, or you can use the marketing campaigns or automation that SendGrid provides. So that's definitely another channel to leverage.
Okay,
as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gunjan. And now talking actually about human interaction. So can the system have human interaction? So if you're using WhatsApp, can a human reply to an inbound WhatsApp message, for instance?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and there are two ways, and actually that's the next step for this, right? If you think of what we developed today. So on voice, we saw that this person was able to be connected directly to the phone. On WhatsApp, what that would look like is you would need to provide an option saying that to talk to somebody, pick an option. Let's say talk to an agent, pick an option 4. And then there are a few options available to you. One is you can use Twilio Flex, which is our contact center solution. So then, and actually I can share that. If I share my screen, I might be able to show you. In the widgets, you can do this. The send to Flex actually sends them to a human, and they can chat back and forth. The other option is we have another partnership with something called Spoke Phone, where each person can get an application on their phone or desktop, and then they can chat through that. So those are the two options. And that does, that it is very useful because another advantage there is you can embed real-time translation in that. So if somebody is texting in Arabic, you can intercept it and translate it to English and back and forth. So yeah, definitely.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because and it actually leads us to the next question from Sharon, which is how accurate are the language translations?
Accurate are the language. Are they meaning in the voice thing we saw, or can we clarify a little bit?
Yeah, well, if this can be clarified, if our attendees still here to clarify, but I think it links back to what you were saying about translating, whether there's somebody addressing, using the service in a different language. Yeah.
So for that, Twilio, so we don't provide the translation service, right? So the way that would work is your message comes in Arabic, you call an external API like a Google Translate API or some other translation API, you get the result, and then you show it in WhatsApp. So it depends on the accuracy of the translation. There is another product, and there's a plugin also that we provide with Google Translation API. It is, you can review it and it can be validated, but it seems pretty as accurate as Google Translate you see on Google search, right? And I find it to be pretty accurate on Google Translate.
Super. They're brilliant. Thank you very much, Gunjan. And then another question from Louise. Do the starting credits expire?
The Twilio.org starting credits do not expire. So you can just sign up and build. And if you need help, again, speak to us. We can get you in touch with the right partners.
Super, brilliant. For the people who are still with us, there's still time to log a couple of or more questions. But the last question we have at the moment is: do you provide any AI capabilities?
Yeah, it is it's the hottest topic, right? Yeah, it's the hottest topic right now. We have a connect to virtual agent widget, which I'll show again here. And what this one. So this is the Connect to Virtual, and that's definitely the next step you can take, right? Again, you want to take it to the next level, then you will leverage the integration between Twilio Voice and Google's Dialogflow. So we provide the voice and telephony, and they provide the training and the AI part of it. So that's the way we do the AI at Twilio. I have also seen some people use the OpenAI ChatGPT functionality to summarize the conversation. So they call the OpenAI API, and they can, so if you have to do call notes, right? And there's a lot of back and forth. And if you want to summarize that conversation, they call the API to summarize a whole chain of conversation and add it in Salesforce as a call note.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, that's great. Loads of inspiration. And that's perfect. Thank you very much, both. And that's all we've got time for today. So another very warm thank you from all of us to you, Tobias and Gunjan, for your time today. It's been a very insightful presentation. We do hope that you enjoyed it as well, and are now feeling better equipped to create an adapted service delivery response that will work for your team and for your service users. As my colleague put in the chat, if you can share your feedback just after you leave that session, that'd be fantastic, because we want to really understand what we're doing is enjoyable and is helpful and relevant. So thank you very much for feeding that feedback. Next webinar is actually going to be on AI on the 11th of May. We're going to deliver that webinar in partnership with the Public Interest Registry, which is the organization behind the .org domain name. So we're really much looking forward to seeing some of you there as well. We're really hoping you have access to the recording, share with the rest of your team, and have access to the rest of resources for today. Hope you have a beautiful rest of the day and of the week. Thank you very much, Tobias and Gunjan.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for joining today, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.